So this one is really fun because it's really a huge disjunct in what people generally believe in terms of what science actually says. So how many people, given that as a preface, how many people would suggest that, tell me what the main driver is of macroevolutionary change? Not because, my little girl is going to be tall and we don't know really why. Geez, we got to look around it. That's microevolution. Basically, within the species, human beings, my little girl is going to be on the taller side because I'm tall. But on macroevolution, species to new species. Hippo to rhino. Poisonous snake comes from non-poisonous snake. What's the main driver of that change? Yeah.
I would say a change in genetic sequence. Death.
A change in genetic sequence. Okay, fine. So, how did that change take place?
Death. In the most simplest way.
So, a non-poisonous snake dies. Clearly, its genetic sequence has changed. It's no longer
Natural
around.
selection.
Yes. Natural selection. So I'm a non-poisonous snake. I'm hanging out, trying to get girls, and I catch mice. On a grab and choke method, and because look at all the mice I catch, girls want me. So now I have a lot of girlfriends, and I have more snakes like me with my attributes. That's basically natural selection. If I can get more mice and impress more girl snakes, I get more snake babies.
Yeah, but to produce venom, that's not likely.
How do I get to venom?
You don't.
Here's the problem with venom. Is that venom, I have to be able to find an object that I can eat, like a mouse, that I can make venom from. I eat mice. I feel like it has something inside me which can create a venom which kills mice that I eat. That's one chemistry experiment for a Sunday afternoon for you. I'll give you my whole kitchen. You work it out. I feel like contain that poison in my body. I have to have a sac for it. I have to have a tube from the sac to my tooth, which my tooth now has to be hollow in order to put the poison through. Hollow teeth of the grab and choke method aren't so good. They snap. So if I have to grab and choke and hold on to a mouse, and I have a hollow tooth, that ain't no good. No girls. So without poison, and I have a hollow tooth, I'm toast. If I have a hollow tooth and no poison, I'm toast. If I don't have a tube to go between the two, I'm also toast. If I don't have a neurological system that knows when I get to the mice, then I inject and the tube comes out with the poison. What if I ejaculate prematurely? I see a mouse, and all of a sudden poison comes out. I wasted the poison. I have to have 5 unique, independently valueless systems that only have a collective value in place at the same time, working for me to win and get more mice. If I have a sack of poison, I have to now grab and choke. Meanwhile, I have to use some of my energy to create poison, which sits there in the sack and rots. And it puts more weight. I have to kind of wiggle around with a sack of poison that never sees the light of day. That's a disadvantage to me genetically. See that? Natural selection? Mm. The problem with going from species to new species is that it requires a fundamentally huge change in the genetic structure of me, the snake, and a highly complex one. It's not easily replicated. So much so that in 1979, at a conference in Chicago, Niles Eldridge, who is one of the director of the Field Museum in Chicago, one of the greatest anthropology and physiology museums around, all the big dinosaurs there, he said there is no such thing as a smooth transitional movement in the fossil record that was going to be played out by evolution. You don't see it, it's not there, it's just not happening. So there's no easy movement from species to species. You know that man thing went from low man like this to like a guy like this? That's all fake. It's not real. It's not a real progression.
I once heard Rabbi Tat say that even in fossil records of dinosaurs, when everyone says this is found in this period of time, Cretaceous, Jurassic, and Triassic period, so on, I heard him say that, I don't know because I didn't look into it.
That's okay.
Said that there are certain dinosaurs which should have existed in the Cretaceous period, and then for some unknown reason, and so at all these 3 periods, there is a layer somewhere in the world which is discovered with a whole bunch of dinosaur fossils, which
Right,
should only
there's a layer.
existed in separate places.
It's called the Cretaceous era, I don't know what it's called, where there's this massive flowering of huge amounts of species come out nearly at the same time. And they're trying to figure out how such a huge growth in the biodiversity of the world occurred, what drove it. And I think that's what he's alluding to. Our topic is slightly different. The idea here is that to get from regular snake to poison snake is not possible. There's no sequence of snakes along the way with intervening value in those systems to make it happen. This is not Eldridge, me. So what happened is that there's a famous guy, George Wald, who believed that chance was the major driver of evolutionary change. As many of you may have heard in high school, it's still taught today. He wrote as follows. This is Scientific American on the Origin of Life, August 1954. George Wald was the leading evolutionary biologist at the time, quite a great guy. However improbable we regard this event, the start of life, or any of the steps which it involved, given enough time, it will almost certainly happen at least once. And for life as we know it, once maybe time is in fact the hero of the plot. The time with which we have to deal is the order of 2 billion years. What we regard as impossible in the base of human experience is meaningless here. Given so much time, the impossible becomes possible, the possible probable, and the probable virtually certain. One has only to wait. Time itself performs the miracles. Okay, after a while, even though it's so complex, all these systems, to get jumped from a regular snake to a poison snake, and also get a girl snake, the same thing, because you can't mate. A macroevolutionary change means that the new species can't mate with the previous species. Otherwise, it's still the same species, it's still microevolution. It's the new species cannot mate. So that means one day, Gladys and Bob, snake, non-poisonous, hanging out in their backyard in Kansas, wake up one day, and there's Julius with some poison dripping out of his teeth. Oh my gosh, how'd that happen? Well, if there are 16 trillion births of snakes, eventually there'll be some kind of massive mutation which works. That's George Wald's argument. It has been the expression of faith of evolution for many, many years. What Niles Eldridge is telling us in 1979 is that is not true. Didn't happen. Time isn't the hero. In fact, so much so is science off the concept of chance as the driver that Scientific American published a retraction of George Wald's article in 1979. Although stimulating, this article probably represents one of the very few times in professional life when Wald has been wrong. Examine his main thesis and see, can we really form a biological cell by waiting for chance combinations of organic compounds? Harold Morowitz, in his book Energy Flow in Biology, computed that merely to create a bacterium would require more time than the universe might ever see if chance combinations of its molecules were the only driving force. He's looking at the major leap in species from 0 species to 1 species. Even the simple bacteria is so complex that all this stuff working together by chance is not happening. This is from Scientific American. 1991, reiteration of this, 12 years later. Some scientists have argued that given enough time, even apparently miraculous events become possible, such as the spontaneous emergence of a single cell organism from random couplings of chemicals. Again, random is the key thing. That's the driver they're debunking. Sir Fred Hoyle, the British astronomer, has said that such an occurrence is about as likely as the assemblage of a 747 by a tornado whirling through a junkyard. Most researchers agree with Hoyle on this point. Chance is not the driver of evolution. It's a part of evolution, but it is not, according to science. Now, you may have thought differently, you may be taught differently, you may want to think differently. It ain't so. It's not. It's not there anymore. There's too much of a massive change in the way the species develop for that to occur. It's too large a gap. So what does science say? Oh, you're disagreeing?
No.
Oh, you're not disagreeing?
I absolutely disagree.
You absolutely disagree?
Yeah.
What's your source?
What's my source?
Yeah, because these are sources from Scientific
My
American.
source is like 15,000 years of science development.
You described to me an epoch. A source is, I, scientist, my proper name, my background, say the following.
Darwin, Charles Darwin, that's my source.
1873. I have 8 copies of Origin of Species. He was waiting for, he said there are no jumps in evolution in the fossil record.
Well, there is like a neo Darwinist